If you're seeing this video, that means I finally stopped procrastinating on it. Hi, welcome to my channel. Today's video topic is student exchange, although I guess you already knew that if you read the title. Going on student exchange had been a dream of mine since middle school. I watched a lot of YouTube videos of people going and I was like, wow, that's so cool, I want to experience that too. I kept telling people around me that I wanted to go on exchange even though I was sure it would never actually happen. I just like to daydream about it. Until I was in the second year of university and I saw the announcement about applying to student exchange for the next year. And that made me realize that this would probably be my last opportunity to follow my dreams and go on exchange. So after a bit of consideration, I went ahead and applied. I think the hardest part of it all was probably the application process. We were given clear instructions on what we were supposed to do and in what order, but as I was picking the university, sending the visa applications and all that, I couldn't believe that I was actually doing this and actually going to another country to study. A part of me was thinking that I would probably chicken out somewhere in the middle of the process, but luckily I didn't. And I got accepted into my first exchange destination choice, HKUST. By the way, I have no idea how to format this video, so it's gonna be a bit messy. I'm still new with these kinds of videos, and I have no idea what I'm doing. To my complete surprise, the closer my exchange got, the less anxious I felt about it. Eventually, the day arrived when I had to go to UST, and I did not feel a single drop of anxiety anymore. The first day was pretty busy. I took part in a campus tour, signed up to the student hall, got my student card, and went to IKEA with the other exchange students to buy some bed sheets and other necessities. I even made a few friends on the first day. I got really lucky as I was assigned to the newest and cleanest student hall with a beautiful view to the ocean and the running track. I had a roommate who was also in exchange, but she traveled around Asia a lot, so I had the room to myself for more than half of the time I was staying there. The room was relatively small, but it wasn't too bad. There was a common room on each floor, and it had a kitchen and a TV, but I didn't use those during my stay. I actually didn't cook anything during my exchange period, as the canteen food was cheap and, contrary to the popular opinion, really tasty. There were over a dozen canteens in total, each of which had multiple food options, so that meant there was plenty of options to choose from. The campus intimidated me at first because it's huge, and I'm really bad with directions and I tend to get lost really easily because I'm completely inattentive of my surroundings. Simply the fact that there were escalators there made my jaw drop. Like, escalators in a university? There was also a dentist, a barber, 7-Elevens, a supermarket, 2 gyms, 2 swimming pools, a souvenir shop, and so many other things I never imagined a university could have. They also frequently had cool events at the atrium with games and freebies. Before the classes started, I made sure to walk through the campus to find the classrooms I would have the classes in, to get rid of that extra stress of having to find them in the morning and potentially getting lost. I wrote down detailed steps of finding them in my notes app, but in the morning, as I was trying to make sense of them, I still somehow got lost every now and then. But in the end, I always found the classrooms. There was a Path Advisor map app that helped me a lot. Navigating through Hong Kong didn't end up being as bad as I thought. I spent a lot of time with my friends, so I didn't have to worry about getting lost when I was with them, because I relied on them when it came to public transport and stuff. But whenever I was alone, I was a bit scared and had a hard time finding the bus stops. I looked at Google Maps like, oh, the bus stop is there, and then I walked there, and it was in fact not there. Sometimes I would find the bus stops after some searching, but other times I could not find them at all, so I would have to use a different route. I guess I should talk a bit about the classes too. So, I took 5 courses altogether, and they differed quite a lot from each other. Some of them were in bigger lecture halls and others in smaller classrooms. The ones in the lecture halls lacked interaction, so they made me fall asleep 90% of the time. It was relatively easy to get to know the other exchange students and even some of the local students through various activities. The university hosted us exchange students a tour around Hong Kong, and it was really fun even though the time management was poor and we weren't able to see all the things on the list. There was also a student organization hosting fun events, like a Squid Game party, egg hunt during Easter, and guided walks around Hong Kong. The student hall also had its own events. And since I made a lot of friends, I felt like I always had something to do. We had game nights, lots of good food, went hiking, and took part in many other cool activities. Because of that, I didn't spend a lot of time studying. But grades were not my priority anyways, as they would only be tracked as pass or fail when I went back to my home university. Some of the midterms were low-key kinda hard, so I then realized I would have to study more for the final exams because I didn't want to think about what would happen if I somehow failed a course. Speaking of which, let's talk a bit about the exams. I could definitely feel how the pace is faster and the workload is bigger in Hong Kong than in my home country. Having to finish 18 questions in just 2 hours felt as bad as it sounds. Quite a few exchange students dated on their exchange period, and I was one of them. I met this guy in the student hall orientation event. I went there after a long day, so I was a bit exhausted, and I didn't know anyone there because my roommate wasn't attending. So I was grateful that some guy started talking to me there because I didn't know who I should talk to myself. The biggest reason for going there was to have some free food. After the orientation, I spent some more time with one of the guys, and I invited him to some of the events at the school that I knew of, like the Squid Game party and the running club. And a few weeks went by, and then we started dating. For most of the exchange students, traveling was a big part of the exchange experience, and many of them went to multiple different Asian countries. I myself went to Seoul for the midterm break with my boyfriend, and to Macau 2 times with a group of friends. Before and after the exchange, I also went to various cities in mainland China with some family members, and we also went to visit our relatives in Hangzhou. I saw so many places in such a short amount of time, and it was awesomeness. I'm really glazing my exchange, but trust me when I say the whole experience was 100% worth it. Of course, not everything was all sunshines and rainbows every minute, and there were times when I struggled pushing myself out of my comfort zone and then regretting it afterwards and getting FOMO. But overall, the experience definitely left a very positive feeling in my mind. If you have any questions or comments about the exchange, please do leave them in the comments. I currently don't have any plans for new videos, but if you have any ideas or want to hear more stories, do let me know. But that's all I had to say for this video, so thanks for watching. Bye!